Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven JavaScript video. I'm recording this on October 29th, 2012, picking up right where we left off in the last episode. And what we're doing here is we are getting our WeWikiPaint application set up with Raphael, which is an SVG library for client-side, for your web browsers. That gives us the ability to actually draw vector graphics cross-platform on Firefox and IE8 and everything else. So we are getting that running in a test-driven way. We've got our test here, which is setting up our DOM and then telling our production code to initialize our drawing area and then verifying that it was initialized correctly. And then in our production code, we're actually, creating Raphael and making it go. The thing here, though, is that although that's working on all of our browsers, almost, it's not working on IE8. And actually, I'm pretty sure it is working on IE8. The problem is that IE8 doesn't support SVG. So Raphael is falling back to Microsoft's vector library, which I believe is called VML. And so our test is not working quite right. So that's what we need to do in this episode, is we need to make the test work on IE8 as well as all of our other browsers. The first step there is to figure out exactly what's going on in IE8 when we run Raphael. And I think one way to do that would actually be to grab our IE8 browser and just go to the Raphael homepage and look. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll open a new tab and go to raphaeljs.com and make this a little bigger. Let's just run a simple demo. Okay, and I'll bet you what kind of developer tools do we have? Well, this looks promising. Okay. Oh, look at that. There's a style. So what we're seeing is that we are seeing a div being created, and that has a div, and that should have RVML : shape. Okay, let's make a note of that. So we've got div id equals canvas, and then div, and then RVML. Div, and then inside of that, we've got a span, and then RVML, and that RVML looks like our real winner. So if we can detect that, I think we'll be able to make this work. Now we could just detect that it's got this style clip, blah, 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 and honestly, that might be good enough, but this RVML looks like more of a actual winner for us. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Now the question is, do we want to check for this by doing some sort of, if we're on IE8, then do this? And I don't actually think we do. I think actually what we want to do is we want to say, if tag name is not equal to SVG, then we're going to do the IE8 stuff. Otherwise, we're going to say expect to be okay. We just want to say it's okay here. Something like that. And here we'll say, well, for now, let's just say expect tag name to equal div. Let's see how that goes. Let's complain about an empty block. Oh, that else. Okay. Complain about the casing. Okay, so that's working. And then if we don't initialize it, that should fail on all browsers. Yes, it does. Okay. So that's a good sign. Okay, so now we just need, I'm gonna, just to make this, I'm gonna make this a little more clear. We're gonna say if tag name is SVG, then we're in a browser that supports SVG, and we'll expect tag name to equal SVG. Otherwise, we're in a browser, we're in IE8, and we'll expect the tag name to equal div, and that should work. Okay, so we do have this successfully working differently on IE8 and everything else. So let's go ahead and check that in. Okay. But I don't really like this test. I don't think it's good enough. I want to go actually see that RVML because this code won't work. I mean, if something weird's happening on IE8, then this code could give us a false positive. That I might be being a little too anal about it. I mean, honestly, if it's working on all the other browsers and we're getting this on IE8, we're probably good. But let's push it a little bit further. Okay, I'm back. I did find a way to figure out how we could find this, go into in more detail. The way we do that is say find, that will find everything underneath the div we're looking at. And then we can say, basically use a CSS selector. So we could say div RVML shape. Now I'm not sure about that RVML colon aspect. That's the XML namespace, but let's go ahead and try it. And then let's just see how many we find. So let's dump out the length, the number of items that we find doing that. And that's not so good. It gives us 0. Let's see, what if we just dump out the lower div? How many should we get? We should get 1. And we do. So that's good. Rather than looking, blindly poking around, let's just look to see what is inside our div. So we've got our div. We can just dump the HTML of that entirely. And what do we see? It's got a div, clip, rect. Okay. I'm not seeing any RVML, and I'm guessing that's because that's the actual strokes that Raphael uses when we actually put content in there. And of course, we don't have any content in there yet, so I think we might just have to say that we expect it to equal div. Yeah, let's just do that. We'll expect the tag name to equal div, and that's that. Let's go ahead and lowercase it and just expect that it equals div and call that good. Okay. So there we go. We've got proper cross-browser testing of Raphael. So the drawing area should be initialized with Raphael. Okay, let's go ahead and clean this up. So this is pretty clean. This is a little ugly, the fact that we have to work around lint, but I wonder what would happen if we said new Raphael. Would it still work? Yeah, it looks like it does. So let's just do that. Okay. the convention here is that class names start with an uppercase R, and that calling a function with an uppercase letter at the front without using the new keyword, that can lead to some subtle bugs if it was intended to be used with a new keyword. So lint requires that you use the new keyword when instantiating an object, which is what we're doing. The Raphael folks were being, friendly by not requiring us to do that. So the code will work even if we don't use new. But there's a lot of classes out there that won't work correctly. They won't instantiate properly if you don't use the new keyword. So lint is protecting us against that. So we'll just use the new keyword, and even though we don't have to. So I think that's good. The drawing area should be initialized with Raphael. What I'd like to do next is say that the drawing area should have the same dimensions as its enclosing div. Again, what we want is we want this code to work independently of how the actual HTML is written, so that we can go in and change the HTML any way we want and the underlying code will still work. So we want it to respect the dimensions of the enclosing div. So that's what we'll do next time. So let me go ahead and get this in there. We'll put in a to-do, make sure that everything's working here. Great. Okay, so next time we're going to make this actually respect the dimensions of the enclosing div, and let's go ahead and put that up here. That's what's next. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will catch you next time.